Hi Otters! Today for math we are going to continue with dividing decimals by one-digit divisors, but this is our part 2 like we talked about yesterday, where if we end up with a remaining number at the bottom instead of a 0, what do we do from there? Because with decimals we don't want remainders. So let's start. Our first one is 1 5/10 divided by 4. So I will write this out like this. Alright, so I know that 4 does not go into 1, so I have to think about how many times does 4 go into 15. I know it goes in 3 times. 4 times 3 is 12. So I subtract 15 minus 12 is 3, and I see I have a remainder here, but nothing left here to bring down. So what I need to do next is add a number to bring down. And what number can we add right here without changing the value of 1.5? Yeah, we can add a 0, because as we've learned before, 1.5 or 1 5/10 and 1.50 or 1 50/100 are exactly the same. So I'm just going to extend out my bar here, and now I'm going to bring down a 0. So now I want to know how many times does 4 go into 30. It goes in 7 times, and 4 times 7 is 28. So I subtract, I get 2. So I still have a remainder. So what can I do? Just add another 0. That doesn't change the value of my number. Now I can bring down the 0, and now I get 20. And this is looking promising now, because I know that 4 goes into 20 equally 5 times. And 4 times 5 is 20. So now I'm left with nothing. So my final answer would be, I have to bring up my decimal, 0 375 thousandths. So I finally got myself to a point where I had 0 remaining down here. So here is my final answer. All right, let's work on another problem now. Here we have 465 hundredths divided by 2. So I'm going to write that in here, 465 hundredths divided by 2. So I know that 2 does not go into 0, but I want to know now how many times does 2 go into 4. I know 2 goes into 4 2 times, and 2 times 2 is 4. When I subtract, I get 0. Now I bring down the 6. And now I want to know how many times does 2 go into 6. That goes in 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. I subtract and get 0. Now I'm going to bring down to 5. Now, how many times does 2 go into 5? It goes in 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. When I subtract, I've got 1 left. But now, just like last time, I have nothing left to bring down, so I'm just going to extend this out, and I can add a 0, because that doesn't change the value of my decimal here. So I bring down a 0. Now I want to know how many times does 2 go into 10. It goes in 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10, and I get a remainder of 0 here. So now I'll bring my decimal from here like we learned yesterday. I'll just bring that straight up. Decimal goes here. I'll put a 0 here. So my final answer would be 0 and 2,325 10,000ths. All right, let's try another one. We'll try one more together like this as an example, and then the following 2 will have you try on your own, pause the video, and check your answers with my work. So here is our next one. It's 5 38 hundredths divided by 5. So I'll write that out here, 5 38 hundredths divided by 5. All right, And right away, if you want to, I know we didn't talk about this yesterday, but I'm putting the decimal in right away. You can move that decimal up right away, but you're still solving, you're still solving the problem like it's 538, okay? So first thing to look at is, how many times does 5 go into 5? It goes in 1 time. 5 times 1 is 5. And when I subtract, I get 0. Now I'm going to bring down the 3. And this is actually something we talked about yesterday. I have to look now, how many times does 5 go into 3? And it doesn't go into 3 at all. So I have to put a 0 up here. It's not a very good 0, sorry. So it goes in 0 times. So I'm still doing the same thing. It goes in 0 times, and now 5 times 0 is 0. And I subtract 3 minus 0 is 3. I bring down the 8. All right, how many times now does 5 go into 38? Goes in 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract and I get 3. Okay, I still have a remainder, nothing else to bring down here, so I'm going to add a 0 to the end. Just bring down a 0. Now I have 30. How many times does 5 go into 30? Goes in 6 times, and 5 times 6 is 30, so I have none left. So final answer would be 1 76 thousandths. All right, these next two I'm going to have you try on your own. I'll write it out first. So 7 and 99 hundredths divided by 2. So what I want you to do here, Otters, is pause your video, solve the problem on your own, and then come back to check with my work. Good luck. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to try this problem. Now I'll work through the problem myself, and you can double check to see how you did. So I'm just going to bring my decimal up first. I want to know how many times 2 goes into 7. It goes in 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. When I subtract, I get 1. So I'm going to now bring down the 9. Now 2 goes into 9 times. 2 times 9 is 18. Subtract and I get 1. I bring down a 9 again. So again, I want to know how many times does 2 go into 19? It goes in 9 times. 2 times 9 again is 18. When I subtract, I get 1. Now I need to add a 0 here to bring down. And 2 goes into 10, 5 times. And 2 times 5 is 10, 10 with a remaining balance of 0. So my final answer would be 3 995 thousandths. So I hope you did well on that one. And let's move on to our final problem to practice on your own. Here we go. We have 2 3/10 divided by 4. So I will write that out right here. 2 3/10 divided by 4. Now I want you to pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, let's see how you did. I'm going to start by adding my decimal up here. And then I see that 4 does not go into 2. So I'm going to write a 0 here. Now I want to think 4 goes into 23 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Now when I subtract, 23 minus 20 is 3, and I have a remainder of 3, which I can't have. So I'm going to add that 0 here, bring down the 0, and 4 goes into 37 times. 7 times 4 is 28. I subtract and I get 2. That still doesn't work, so I'm going to add another 0 to bring down. And I see that 4 goes into 25 times, and 4 times 5 is 20, leaving me with a remainder of 0. So final answer on this one would be 575 thousandths. All right, I hope you did well on that one as well. So now I'm going to move on to our last page. These are your 4 Apply My Learning problems. So right now you could pause your video and either write them down or take a screenshot of them. And then once you're done working through these problems in your notebook, take a picture to upload into Canvas. Please remember to make it clear, your writing and work clear, so that I can tell where your answer is and which problem you're working on. And please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me a message to let me know, and maybe we can meet in WebEx so that I could help you. But I hope you did well on these, and good luck on your Apply My Learning problems. And again, just let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Bye, Otters.